Happy Sunday! Welcome to our book club chat. We're talking about The Reader by Traci Chee. Thanks for being cool with us, pushing it back a week, even though there's still just the three of us here.
but now I've finished it.
But now Emma has finished it. Yeah, we missed the other Word Nerds. Particular shout out to Desiree, who is miserable and sick. We're very sorry, Desiree. But yeah, so we're going to talk all about The Reader. There's going to be so many spoilers. So if you don't want to be spoiled on this awesome book, please go watch one of our other videos now and come back to this one later. So we always start our book club picks by giving it a star rating out of 5. I've got Erin on my left first.
I'm going to say 4 out of 5. I would say I remember really loving it. It was such a long time ago that I read it. I also have like super good memories associated with it because I was in Mexico at the time, like literally just lying by the pool doing nothing. So yeah, you know what? I'm just going to do 5 out of 5 because I don't remember not liking any parts of it. So there you go.
Yay. Emma?
I'm giving it 4 stars. I think like the writing is good, but like story-wise, it's definitely pretty slow, which sometimes can be a good thing. And yeah, sometimes I think it needed more story than it had.
Yeah. I will probably give it like a 4 as well, maybe a 4.25. There was a lot I really, really enjoyed and so many things I really, really loved. But there were a few things where I was like, wait a minute. Like, this is happening way, way, way too slow, or this is happening way, way, way too fast. Like, I know for me, when she learns how to read.
Yes, so fast.
Yeah, it happened so fast. And I think like the excuse behind it was that her father had taught her on the blocks. Her mom taught her what the blocks sounded like.
Yeah.
But
also
that was a long time ago.
I felt like it also implied though that she didn't realize what her mom was doing. Like, because her mom would lay out the SEFIA and be like, Sophia, my little Sophia. And so like the fact that she was able to make the connection and figure out that's what those letters meant, and like I was like, okay.
Yeah.
And she figured out what all the other letters sounded like. I was like, magic? We'll just go with that.
Yeah. For the sake of
hand,
the story moving on, I was happy.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, I can get like why she did it, because otherwise I'd be like, okay, cool, another reading lesson. Like, you don't necessarily want like half the book to be that either, right?
But also from the beginning, like couple scenes to like the rest of the book, there's years in between. So like she could have had her learn during those years instead of like waiting. But so I thought that was an interesting choice. Yeah. It was an interesting choice to start the story when she's like 9 and then jump forward years later.
Yeah, I got very like Rogue One feels because I had just seen Rogue One when I read this book, and at the beginning, like it's very, very similar.
Yeah.
Like she's like hiding in a pit too. Even
I didn't realize how young she was in the beginnings. Actually, this is kind of a bit of an issue I had in general, that like sometimes I felt like things weren't described well enough. So like I had no idea what age she was at the beginning. So I just assumed she was already a teenager, and then it jumps forward years and I was like, oh, she must have been younger. And then it's like way later in the book that she was like, my dad died when I was 9, and I was like, oh, that's how old she was. Like I feel like it didn't say it at the beginning. And like I don't think that you have to describe your characters if you don't want to, but I prefer that characters be described, and I felt like I didn't know what anyone looked like.
Yeah.
Oh, really? I actually quite liked the description, particularly, I can't find it now. Like I said, this is such a long time ago. She describes, I think, her hair and then her having teardrop eyes, something like that. And I was like, that's so beautiful.
Yeah, I think the descriptions she does are pretty, but like they're either like wasn't enough for me to understand it, or the descriptions were to a point where I didn't know what they meant sometimes.
Oh.
I don't know. Like, okay, so this is another issue. I'm going to suddenly have a lot of issues. But like this is connected to another issue I had where I sometimes had trouble telling which characters were which. Like, and in some ways I think it was intentional because of some of the reveals at the end. But also like there were characters that I feel like I should have known were the same person and I didn't. Like so there's like the woman in black who like steals Nin at the beginning. And then like later Tannen or whatever is with the second, or with the assassin or whatever. And I thought they were different people because like, I don't know, like there wasn't enough of an like consistent description.
I thought that at first too,
Yeah,
but I did
same.
get it eventually. Yeah.
I didn't realize that it was the same person until the assassin died out on like the ocean, and that was the point where I connected it because Sophia was like, "Oh, it's the woman in black who took Nin," and then Tannen was like, "Oh, the assassin's dead," and I was like, "Wait, that was the same person." I thought the assassin was younger. Like I got the impression from Sophia's description that she was old, and from Tannen's description, I got that she was young. So I was like super confused. And like I even like looked, and like Sophia describes her as having dishwater eyes, which I'm like, what is dishwater eyes?
Like
Right.
gray eyes.
Tannen says she has light blue eyes, so like I didn't realize it was the same person. I was like, I don't know.
Okay.
I personally would have liked some more like
light blue or gray,
descriptive.
but yeah.
But
It's interesting because
but also I'm like, I don't think you have to just like, I would have personally liked it, but I don't think it makes it a bad book. But with the number of characters and the way they go by different names, or Sophia doesn't know who they are, I think it would have been useful to have clearer descriptions so you realize when it was the same person from different points of view.
It's interesting. I wonder if that kind of like at all reflects a little bit on your own writing style, because I was going to say I love the descriptions of the characters in particular, but I'm a very sparse describing person when it comes to characters, especially. I'm like, you're lucky if you know the color of their hair for my main characters even. So maybe
I don't even know if I describe that much. Like I would have to actually go back and look because I know what I look like. But I think it would have worked fine in this book, the sparse descriptions, if it had all been from one point of view. I think that's the problem I had, is that when it would be a different person's point of view and they would describe differently, which is like fair because we all see people different ways. But then I wouldn't realize that people were the same people, or I'd be like, wait, who is this person talking about? And it would like take me a while to realize. So I don't know, that was a little bit of a problem for me.
I think that like one of the reasons it started, I think of this as more like a literary book, like it's fantasy, definitely YA fantasy, and then but in the vein of like a literary novel. And like usually I don't like that. Even The Night Circus for me was like really, really slow getting into it, and I was frustrated with some parts of The Night Circus. But this one just, I think also maybe because I love anything, I'm such a sucker for anything that's about even slightly related to books. So the fact that this whole thing was about like books and words and like the lost art of reading essentially. So I was just like in for this whole thing. And the descriptions are beautiful as well. So
yeah, she definitely has like a really good voice and really good writing style.
Yeah.
You said you found the whole poem. There's a poem in here. I did not. I didn't pay enough attention.
I paid attention because Megan noticed it. But like at the bottoms of the pages, next to the page numbers, every once in a while there will be a word. So this one says "in," and so like if you go through like in order, it's a poem. And I wrote it down. I will read it to you.
Yes.
Okay, so it's, this is a book, and a book is a world, and words are the seeds in which meanings are curled. Pages of oceans and margins of land are civilizations you hold in the palm of your hand. But look at your world, and your life seems to shrink to cities of paper and seas made of ink. Do you know who you are, or have you been misled? Are you the reader, or are you the read?
Oh my God, I love it.
So cool.
I have shivers.
And like the last word is like after the last page of the book. So it's really, because it's like, are you the, and then like you get to the end of the book and you like turn the page. These are acknowledgements. You like turn the page and it's like a blank page and it says read with a question.
Are you the reader or are you the read? Oh, I love it.
So cool. I will. I really wanted to know what the secret message was, and so that's part of why it took me so long to read the book, because I kept flipping back, like, trying to like recite it from memory. Yeah,
I know. I wrote it down as I went, but I also like I would at the parts where I would really get into the story, which like wasn't always. I sometimes had trouble getting into the actual plot of the story, but like when I would get into it, I would like get like 10 pages in, and I'd be like, wait, I forgot to pay attention, and I'd have to like go back and see if I missed any of the words. So.
Yeah, that was the worst, because it's like you have to recite it in your head up to that point, and then like go back and like, is this that and, or is it a different and?
Yeah.
It's funny because I actually normally hate it when people have stories within stories. Like if it's a character telling a story, or if it switches to like, oh, this is the story that the readers or that the character's writing or something along those lines. I usually hate that. But for this one, I found that the stories within the story worked and didn't pull me out of the story, if that makes sense. Like, it wasn't
When
frustrating
you
for
say
me.
stories within the story, do you mean the pirate
Within,
story,
yeah.
or like the fact that
on the
she
book.
has an inception moment at the end?
That's, I don't even remember. I'm talking about the I'm talking about the cannibal crew and the
Because
the stories from the book.
she like towards the end she finds herself in the book. She finds like the moment when her dad
Oh my
died.
God, yes. Okay, I remember it now. I having such a hard time remembering some of it. I really want to reread it, and I wanted to reread it before this chat, but with the move, it was like pretty much impossible. But yeah. Okay, I remember that now.
Like, I really like the idea of like reading being this thing that like only some people know how to do, and it's like magic and everything. I do still like, I felt like as like when you get towards the end and she like meets the guard people, like the bad people, they're like, this book can't fall into the wrong hands, and like it's literally just like stories, like it's like a record of like stories that have happened in the real world. Like I never understood like why everyone was so crazy about like we have to have this book and we can't let other people have it, and I was like, I don't get it. So like it wasn't like spells or something. I was like,
But isn't it revealed later that it is magic? Like she can do magic with it?
well, she can do magic, but not really with the book. Just she can do magic.
Yeah. Oh, for some reason
I thought the thing about the book was that like people would try and use it to manipulate like the future.
I guess, or they knew what was going to happen in the future. I guess it. I don't know. I just feel like it was never like as clear as I would like it to be. Like why everyone wanted it or didn't want it, or
for some reason I thought the magic had something to do with the book.
It's like the people who can read the book are also people who can do magic, but like I don't know.
It's words in general that make the magic happen, and not specifically the words in that book. Like she writes words on, or the what's her name?
It's not even really words. It's just like the sight that they have. Like they just like she looks at things and she's like, I know the history of this thing.
Well, doesn't the lady who's traveling with Tannen, she writes like disappear on the box, and then no one can see her.
No, it's not the lady that's traveling with her. We never find out who it is.
Oh yeah.
Which so this is not really spoiler, but I have a theory that it was somehow her mom.
Oh.
Because like the person writes it, but then Tannen sees whoever it is from far away, Tannen freaks out. Tannen's like she never says it looks like Sophia's mother, but at first she thinks it's Sophia, but then she's like, no, she's the wrong age. But yeah, and then she like she jumps out towards the water and then disappears, and they're like, how did she like transport herself? So I have a feeling it's Sophia's mother. Either she didn't actually die, or it's like a younger version of herself or something. Traveling through time, because they do talk about time travel, like how no one's able to do it. And so I was like, is that a clue that like her parents did find out how to do it or something? Because they're like, oh, no one knows how to time travel, and I'm like,
That's something people would say if it was possible.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want that or not. I normally loathe time travel like so much, but I guess we'll see how it's done. Sometimes it can be done well. The next book isn't out until November.
I know. And the cover is so beautiful. Like,
how did they make a better cover than this one? That's I said how.
I was like, there's no way you can top this. How
you can't top that.
But they did.
I know. I was like, oh my God, how did you make that even more beautiful than the first one? I need both of those things for my shelves. I really have to reread this before reading 2, though, or I'm going to be so confused.
Okay, so spoiler question. So we're not getting into spoiler territory, so turn this off if you haven't read it. Like, did you figure out the, like, big, like, reveal about her parents being the, like, people that were in the story?
About like halfway, like the second or third time we saw them, I was like, these people have nothing to do with anything.
Yeah.
And that was when I was like, they must be someone important.
Yeah, I like made like a note in like the very beginning. Like I noticed in like Lon's like first point of view scene or whatever, like when he's like when it goes to him in the library, like learning the alphabet or whatever, like him and Erastus, the master librarian, are like talking about the book and like, oh, when will I get to see the book and all this. And I was like, that's weird because Sophia has the book.
Mhm.
And I was like, so actually I made a note where I was like, this must be an earlier time because the librarians still have the book. And I said, or they're lying about having it. It's one of these two things.
I figured out that it was earlier. Like I figured that out pretty fast, but
Yeah.
I did not figure out who it
I
was.
assumed they were lying about having the book. I was like, they don't have it. Sophia has it.
Yeah, I figured either it was earlier or they were lying about it. And like I did have a moment early on where I thought that maybe Lon was the boy that she like rescued from the cage. I was like, is this the same person? Is that why we saw him? Because yeah, you're like, why are we seeing this guy? And then like, yeah, I made a note halfway through the book on page 215 where I said, Lon and the second are Sophia's parents, aren't they?
It took me until the reveal. Like there are some things I think I'm so clever for figuring out, like the fact that I'm like, oh yeah, this must be like in history, like before she has the book.
Yeah.
And then I'm so smart. Oh no, I'm not. I did not see that one coming.
Yeah, it's like one scene. It's like not when he meets the second. It's like the next time they see each other. And she's just come back from like an assignment or whatever, and they're like hanging out in the library. And I was like, these are her parents. They fall in love and run away, don't they?
I found myself significantly more engaged in their story than anyone else's, so much so that I found myself a few times wishing that I was reading their story instead.
Yeah.
They were so interesting, and just like that whole side of the world was fascinating.
Yeah. I definitely felt like Sophia's story, like a lot of it felt like the plot was being stretched so that it would fill a book sometimes. Like these things happen so that it takes the whole book for them to make it to like Sarah Keene or whatever. So I felt like it was, I don't know, like it didn't always feel character driven. Like sometimes it felt like, oh, and these pirates show up. Like now they're with the pirates. I don't know. So
I feel like that's going to be an interesting like theme. Almost like I almost wonder if that was kind of intentional to the point where you wonder like is the book controlling things or are they?
Yeah.
You see, I love stuff like this.
Yeah. I know. I was like, that was the one reason I was able to kind of excuse the fact that it didn't feel very character driven and felt kind of like coincidental at times. Like all these coincidences kept happening that moved the plot along. And I was like, well, maybe that's intentional. And then I can excuse it.
Well, it kind of has to be, right? Because she found herself in the book.
Yeah.
Like that's what I assumed. Yeah. So I'm just really excited for book 2.
Yeah. I loved that the book had like splotches in it and stuff. Or like I have this page marked.
Yes.
Where like she blots out what happens or how her dad looks and you experience it later.
I was like, I like that I explained it later, but because like at the time I remember like being really frustrated by that. I'm like wanting to like look past it and be like, can I hold it up to the light? Like
I definitely did that too.
But yeah, I liked how you would like see her fingerprints like on things or like smears of blood. Like that was cool.
It's
and like really cool formatting. The formatting of it.
It reminds me of the Illuminati one that's like shows you a little bit of like what actually happened as well, like the wear and tear on the book and stuff.
Yeah, and the whole time I was like, is she doing this or did someone take the book and are they doing this?
Yeah.
I also noted, well, I know like Megan mentioned at the beginning of the chat, like that she learned how to read really quickly. I also like noticed like towards the end when they get to like Tannen's like office or whatever, at the like where it's supposed to be Sarah Keene, and they find like Tannen and Raja or whatever. And like it describes the room and the desk, and it's like the desk is piled high with sheets of paper, bottles of ink, dip pens. There's like pen knives. And I'm like, how does she know what all these things are if like books and writing don't exist in her world? And it almost made me want to like go back and read the book and see if there were any like other anachronisms like that. Because I was kind of like, how does she know what a pen knife is if people don't use like pen and paper? Like, how does she know what ink is? Like,
I know in the world, there were like almost hieroglyphic type of
I do know you talk about like symbols of things. So yeah, so maybe they use those things for that. I don't know. But it also describes like scenes where like Tannen, like someone like knocks on her door and Tannen like covers her desk so people can't see the stuff on it, you know? So I'm like,
Mhm.
is this stuff
It
real?
sounds pretty secret.
So,
Yeah, especially like growing up how she did in this like very poor, very secret life. Like how would you come in contact with those things?
yeah, maybe her parents had those things. I don't know. It never really explains how she knows what all these things are that are involved in reading and writing. But that's a very small nitpicky thing to notice. But
Yeah.
I noticed.
It's funny because that's the type of thing you'd think about and be like, should I make her like overly describe the penknife
Yeah.
so that it's obvious she doesn't know what it is?
Or just say that there's like instruments on the, like, yeah.
Yeah. How do you describe it? Yeah. I would have probably just been like, it's a penknife.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Everything is fine.
Don't think about it.
Look over here. So we haven't talked about Archer yet. What did you guys think of Archer? He's the boy who was in the box and rescued.
Yeah, I liked him. Again, it's so hard to remember. I think Emma, you go first.
I definitely like him as a character. I wasn't super invested in like a romance between them.
Yes, actually. Yeah, I'll second that. I didn't know if there was really, because just do they go into it a little bit later? I can't even remember, like I said, but
it does like grow as the book goes, and especially towards the end, there's a lot of like, towards the end, like when they're on the pirate ship, there's a lot of like looking at each other all the time, lots of long soulful glances on the pirate ship. So it definitely builds on the pirate ship a lot. Like,
yeah.
Okay.
But,
yeah, I don't think I was super invested in that as a romance either. I don't think I could remember shipping them. No pun intended.
Yeah.
I like that at least you laughed. Get it?
Yeah, I loved Arthur. I loved his point of view. Like,
I really liked his point of view, yeah.
I did have one issue though. They created a language so fast.
Yeah. Their hand gesture.
Yeah.
She's like, he does not speak like I do. Here, 2 weeks later, we know sign language perfectly fine.
That's true.
And not
too.
even like, it wasn't like there was someone there who knew sign language or Archer already knew sign language. They like made stuff up. He's like pointing like this, and she's like, obviously he wants me to take the sword and stab someone.
Yeah. She's like, this is his symbol for this thing. I'm like, how did you figure that out so quickly?
Yeah, I would have liked to see more mix-ups with what he meant, because that could go so badly. He wants me to stab someone. No, I was just telling you we should run away.
It's like, I
mean, nothing that extreme.
I did love their like the crossed fingers was their symbol for like together. I liked that a lot.
That was so
That's
cute.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that makes sense because together. Yeah. I am excited to see like how it happens in book 2 and if it gets explained more. I'm not a huge fan of like, look, his muteness is cured. He can say words now. I feel like it has to be done really, really well, and there wasn't enough book at the end to really delve into that.
Why was he mute again? I can't remember.
They never super say, but it's kind of implied that it's like the trauma, maybe.
Yeah.
But they never.
It definitely is implied that like
trauma.
all the boys that go through this, like they're basically just like reduced to a point where they're like not even human, basically.
Oh, they're like animalistic.
Yeah, because like when they go to the fight, there's like one boy that's just like battering against the door and like.
Right. Okay.
Either. So yeah, he's like lost all his memories of his life. Because that's what like triggered him getting his language back at the end is Rajar being like, he was supposed to be a lighthouse keeper, and he's suddenly like, I remember everything and I can talk.
I know this word, lighthouse.
Yeah, I remember that now. It's not even like he like uses a couple of words at the end. It's like he speaks in like full sentences at the end, which I would have liked to see like just a couple words and be like, maybe later he'll fully regain his ability to talk.
Yeah,
we'll see how it goes in the second book.
Yeah, I feel like there's a whole second book that will hopefully delve into that really well. But
I would assume so, yeah.
I raised an eyebrow at it.
I really like the pirates.
Yes.
Yes.
my favorite part of
Oh
the
my
book.
gosh.
The captain.
I'm so on
Yes.
board for pirates normally, and then these were done
Yeah.
really well, and not in any kind of like. Some of the time when you put pirates in, it's like they're cheesy, you know,
Mhm.
and these ones weren't. So I was pretty pumped about that.
They were really cool.
Yeah.
And I liked that it was very like there was like a ton of equality. Like there were like half the pirate ship was women, and like no one was ever like, oh, there's a woman on the ship. You know, like it wasn't even like it was a big deal that Reed had one. It was just like some pirates are women and some are men. That's it. Like, you know?
Mhm.
So that was cool. Because a lot of times also with pirates you get a lot of like sexism. So
Yeah, yeah. I don't know, but it's still, I like that this one, like I don't necessarily like, I know real pirates are probably like that, but I don't necessarily need like to read
this is
that
another
all the
world.
time.
Like
Yeah, and it's
not
another
our
world.
world.
Yeah, exactly. And the crew is half women, so obviously they're not going to put up with crap like that. And
well, and I also
yeah,
I
and
feel
there's
like
still,
I don't remember there ever being like any sexism in any
No.
other situation either. So I don't think it's like a super patriarchal society.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like maybe it's slightly, but like yeah, like there were always like women and men doing equal amounts of things.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah. Well, because the second was a girl and all that stuff. Like obviously, women are allowed to do things in this world.
yeah,
Which
and
is
Tannen
nice.
is like the director too. Like
Right.
she's a
Yeah.
woman, so yeah.
Well, the
So like
assassin
makes
is
sense
like
that like it
a
would have
big
been weird
deal.
if like there was no other sign of like sexism, but then random like pirates are, and you're like, what?
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
That's just how pirates are, and you're like, but this isn't our world.
Yeah, no, I like that. And then they were still like a little bit rough and tumble, obviously, because they're pirates. So it still kept realistic, which
Mhm.
I liked.
I loved the captain's like obsession with his legacy.
Yes,
Mhm.
and also his
Very
OCD.
compelling. Yeah.
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 I just found this when I was flipping through. So many cool parts.
So cool.
So many parts where I was like, I can't read it. I'm so
Yeah,
frustrated.
I was like trying to read that page. I was like, what's happening?
What's the secret?
And there's a map in the front. I always love it when there's a map.
That's how you know you've made it, is when they pay someone to make a map.
They draw a map for you. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
And it's a beautiful map too.
Yeah, it's really well done.
I definitely had to consult it a few times.
Yeah. Yeah, I did
Different
too,
places.
actually. I was like, where are they right now?
And it was like sometimes they would
Normally,
talk about the kingdom, and sometimes they talk about like the like province area or whatever. So I like didn't realize they were the same places, you know. Like, it was confusing.
One of the things I loved was that every chapter heading had the seal of the place they were at. I thought that was so cool.
oh, now I'm
The
going back
time
through.
someone put into making this book beautiful.
Oh,
is
yeah,
just
that's cool.
mind-blowing to me.
Well, and I love the ragged edges too. I've always loved books that have had the kind of ragged, uneven pages.
I have a love-hate relationship with decollete edges because I can never
Why?
get a
Yeah,
grip
you
on
can't turn them.
I love the way they look, but it's hard to like flip through the book. Like when you flip through, it's like every 20 pages, you know, like instead of being able to span through the whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've always secretly hoped my book would have decollete edges.
And then everyone will hate you in your book for it.
So
many
damn
people
it, I
hate
can't
decollete.
flip through.
Like, have you seen that Hank Green video where he has like 100 rants in 4 minutes? And one of them he just picks up, it's like the ocean at the end of the lane.
World or lane.
Or whatever it is by Neil Gaiman.
Yeah, so
And then he's like, why? I feel like that's me.
And so much people are like, they look messy, and I'm like, they look cool. Like what I like about them is the way they look.
yeah,
They're not very functional,
cool.
but they look cool.
I like them.
Yeah.
I have a secret thing about them. I want them. I also like because they make your book look like I can see where I've turned the pages, where my thumb has made a little indent. For some reason, I really like that, which is weird because normally I'm like, oh my God, don't touch my book in case you get like a little stain on it or something. It needs to be perfect. But for some reason, I like seeing where I've turned it because I was like, oh yeah. Well, I was also like I said in Mexico at the time, so I'm like, good memories. There's like a literal part of my book that's like halfway through where I like must have dropped it in water, so it's like slightly crinkled, and I'm like, oh,
Or
good
maybe
memory.
the pirates did it. The
That's
pirates
what it
dropped the book
is.
in the water.
It's crinkled from pirates. Not Mexico. That's what it is. I'm gonna go with that. Yeah. This is why you definitely need this one in paperback. Just an ebook would not cut it. not at all.
Same with audiobook. I feel like
Yeah.
I don't know how they would
I
do
don't
all
know
of the
how they would do
artistic
that.
things in audiobook.
I know I
They would
saw
have to
someone's
find a way.
review on Goodreads where they did the audiobook, and all they said was that they laughed every time someone said, "This is a book." And they're like, no, it's not.
No, it's not.
It's just not.
Technically
We have
not.
it at work. I should listen to it sometime just to see what
You
it's
should
like.
see how they do the hidden poetry and the
Yeah.
watched out words and
And
stuff.
like the burn up page. I want to know what that
Yeah.
burn up page is like.
How
Yeah.
do you do that?
Are they like, the following page has burnt holes in it? Like,
Yeah, like an
maybe they
audio
describe what it looks
descriptive
like.
thing.
Yeah. I don't know.
Maybe.
I'll listen to it sometime in the car.
Yeah.
Because it's not like Illumine where they can like read the transcripts and stuff. And
Yeah, yeah.
interesting.
Uh,
Now I'm curious. Let me know when you listen to it. What it's like.
Yeah, I'll see what it's like. Maybe I'll listen to it like right before the second book comes out or something.
Good idea. I'm just gonna
Nice.
reread it. I feel like with this book, this is the type of book I'll reread a couple times because there'll be things that I didn't catch the first time or things that I like didn't fully understand. It was like this with the Night Circus too, where I feel like some of it's going over my head because there's so much going on and there's so many details and some of them hidden details or like secret reveals later on. And I'm like, I think I get this. Do I get this? I don't know. I hope so.
Yeah. I'm very, very curious to see how book 2 will build on this. Like, I'm excited and I trust Traci and her editors and stuff, but I'm also like a little like, how are you going to top this? Like, this is pretty intense. How are you going to make this more complicated?
Yeah.
Hopefully not more complicated. Equally complicated is fine.
I feel like it's a trilogy, right? So this is going to be Act 2. Theoretically, things should build up more.
Yeah.
I guess so, yeah.
What do you guys think of like the bad guys, the guard? Because I sometimes felt kind of underwhelmed by them.
Yeah.
I never know what to think of them.
I like
that they're like.
I was gonna say I like the
I like
assassin.
the idea of them. Yeah, I like the assassin, and I like that they think they're the good guys. Like they think they're doing the right thing. I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
But I never felt super threatened by them for some reason.
Yeah. I feel like there were so many like secrets that I never really understood why they thought they were the good guys.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know what's happening. I don't know why you think you're the good guys, but I know you're trying to kill the actual good guys.
Yeah.
But never getting close. Like kind of not comic book, like cartoony villainy. Like we get so close and then they just keep running and we stop for the night.
Or they get close and Tannen is like, actually don't kill them because she reminds me of her mom.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Like so much of the reason that they don't get caught or hurt is just because Tannen's like, no, don't. Like not even don't kill them, but don't capture them either. Just let them go. But then we're also going to still keep chasing them.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see her character arc. Like I hope it gets really interesting.
I'm really interested with Rajar, however you pronounce his name, because he like feels bad about like killing people, and like it definitely like shows that he feels bad about everything, but he feels like he's doing the right thing. Like he doesn't like it, but everyone's told him it's the right thing.
Very
So
complex
I think he's the character most likely to like change.
Yeah. I love stuff like that where it's set up for like the character is so complex and you're like, what's going to happen with his arc? Like clearly there's going to be a big change. I don't know. I love complicated stuff like that.
Yeah, I hope that they get more, like the garden people get more complicated, because I think that was just like, I don't know, even though they should, like in a way they are complex and you get all this cool backstory of them, but I don't know, I still just kind of felt like I didn't care that much about them. So I hope
they didn't have a ton of autonomy yet. It felt like. That reminded me of something I really liked about Sophia's character. In a lot of ways, I struggled because I felt like she wasn't making a ton of decisions, and so I didn't really see her as a particularly flawed character, which are the characters I'm most drawn to. But I loved how much she grieved things. Like she was always like, if something upset her, she cried about it. And after she killed the first guy, like she thought about it a lot. Like she was obsessing over it. And I felt like that was very realistic, which you don't get as often with these like badass YA heroines. They're just like, I killed a man.
Yeah,
it's fine.
Although I do think it's interesting. I kind of wish this had, I don't know, maybe this will get elaborated on in the second book, but like she spends so much time grieving killing him and being like, oh, killing is terrible, I don't want to kill people. And then at the end she like kills someone, like towards the end, and like and has like no thoughts about it. Like she just kills the person and the story goes on. And I thought that was interesting that there wasn't even like a moment of like, I hate to have to do this again, but I have to. Like it didn't even feel like, I don't know. I don't even remember like who it is or what happened, but I distinctly remember being like,
I was trying to remember who it was.
Or feelings about that.
Who does
Does
she?
the person go after Archer?
I think so.
Yeah, who does she
I
kill?
think they go after Archer and she kills.
But like I still,
Okay.
I don't know, like.
But yeah, definitely, it would be interesting to see since she obsessed so much over the first character.
It just like seemed
See
so
her
like
have to deal with
simple
that
and
second
easy with the second one, where I was like, wait, what? I can't remember.
Mhm. I would love to see her rocket to the other end of the spectrum for a little bit before she finds a healthy balance of like, this is who I actually need to kill.
Was it on the ship?
But that's the character I would write. I think it was at the very end, right?
It's towards the
climax,
end.
when they're like going into the tunnels and
Yeah, it's somewhere near the end.
they have no plan. They're like, we're just going in there. We'll figure it out.
I know. I definitely like. Even though I do think some of it's intentional, I would like to see like Sophia and Archer have like more like autonomy and more choice in the story. Because I felt like, yeah, they were just kind of like going along with everything that happened in a lot of this book.
More planning.
Like, we're gonna go find Sarah Keene because we think he might have something to do with Nin. We're just gonna follow.
We're like, we got a lot of moxie in a language we made up ourselves. It's fine.
Good. And this weird book thing that's just stories about pirates
that we should maybe
but everyone
destroy,
wants
but
it.
we're not going to.
Yeah.
I'm very curious what would happen if the book got destroyed. Like, will the world disappear, or is it just like, what is the book? What is it? Like, how is she in the book? And was she always in the book?
So many questions.
Yeah, so many questions, not enough answers. I'm a little worried it's like I need to accept the fact that I'm not going to get all the answers before I get to the next book.
Duh, she kills Tannen. That's who she kills.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, who was it? And yeah, it's like, no, it's because Tannen kills Nin. It's because they kill Nin. And then she like goes at her with a penknife, which is pretty badass, and like slits her throat with a penknife.
That is a very intense
like, cool, but it's like
for someone who's very anti-death.
Yeah, it's like, and one even like early on when they first get there, when she like pins Tannen down with like a knife, and then like Rajar gets Archer, I think, or something, and so she lets Tannen go. So I feel like it was very like violent of her to go after her that first time and threaten her with death, and then go and kill her so suddenly when she's been so like anti-killing ever since her first kill, you know.
Though I would say like someone's killed the last part of her family. Like, definitely. I don't remember what reaction she has to that. If it's like,
I get why she kills her, and I think it's a logical choice for her to kill her. I just think it's interesting that both before that and all the way after it for the rest of the book, she never even thinks about the fact that she killed
we should have seen
person.
something after it, I think, because she probably had PTSD from the first.
She never even has a moment of, oh no, I've killed another person. Nothing. She doesn't address the fact that she's killed another person.
Yeah, because you would have like mental trauma from killing someone.
Doesn't even say like, this is my second kill or anything.
And then second time, yeah, this should have brought some of the shock back.
Yeah, and also, like,
if it's in the very last bit, maybe we'll see some of that
in book 2.
You see in shock in book 2, the start of it.
Yeah. But there's definitely like when they first get to that room, she pins her down and like draws blood on Tannen and stuff, and even then she doesn't have any. And that's before she kills Nin. She doesn't have any like, oh, maybe I shouldn't kill another person thoughts. I thought that was good.
Yeah, because you'd think like, even if she did like jump on her and draw blood, there'd be a moment of like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? I can't do this again. I'm interested. Obviously we've all said this, but I'm excited for book 2.
Yes.
Because it's called The Speaker, right? So I'm curious to see if this one revolves more around the power of like spoken words.
Oh, interesting. That reminds me of the what the heck is her name? I don't have any of my books behind me anymore. The Inkheart series.
Oh, yeah.
What are they
Oh,
called?
yeah.
Silver Tongues or something tongues. I
Like that.
can't remember. But yeah, they can read stuff out loud and bring stuff over into the other world. So that's not the same as this like form of magic, but it reminds me of that. So, and I loved that series. So I'd be very excited if that's something along those lines with like the written word read aloud would be very interesting.
Oh yeah, she does. The first time she pins Tannen down, it's when she finds out that they were behind her dad's murder. That's when.
Oh, so anytime she kills after that has been because of family related things.
Yeah,
Interesting.
but like it's never addressed that like, oh, I almost killed another person.
Right.
You know. I don't know.
I'm assuming it will be addressed in book
I'm assuming
2.
it will be. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just would have liked her to be at least be a line
Like a
about
thought. Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like even like a thought like I'm gonna have to deal with this later after we're not running for our lives type of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I really want to stop and do nothing and freak out. We gotta go.
Or also even like a thought of like, this is more acceptable than killing Palo Canta, the other guy she killed. You know, even she had a point where she justified like this is more worth it. You know, like
Yeah.
There's even like a moment of justification for her. So which is interesting. Yeah, I liked Inkheart, but then I remember not liking the last book.
I didn't read the last book. I think I only got through the first one. I also am obsessed with the movie.
Yeah. The first book was really good, and the second book was like all right, and then the third book I was really disappointed with, I think. But I love the idea and the world of it. Is really
Yeah.
Books that involve books.
Yes, those are my favorite. I'm so excited. Books about the written word.
Yeah. And I love Traci. She's so cool. And she's a Pitch Wars alumni. And
yeah, she is. Woot.
Yeah. She was your year, right?
Yeah, 2014. Yeah. She was one of the first ones to sell, I think. I believe.
Yeah, she sold so fast.
Yeah, because her pitch was very popular in Pitch Wars, I think. I'm having so much time remember. I feel like an old lady because I'm like, it's back in 2014 and I don't remember very much from there. But yeah, I'm pretty sure she did pretty well in Pitch Wars and then sold right away. So yeah, which is why she has book 2 coming out.
Frostblood won for a while.
Yeah, Frostblood was the most popular.
But hers was very high up behind it.
Yeah, the YA category. Yeah.
And now we all win because we have all of those books.
Yeah. Yeah, I just finished Frostblood a couple weeks ago, and I have to buy the second one, which is coming out, or is it already out? I need to keep.
It's not out yet.
No, okay.
Fireblood. I just like requested it on NetGalley, but I haven't heard anything. So it's not out yet.
I like need a calendar that's literally just like book releases and nothing else. So I know when all of the big exciting splashy releases are coming out and I can remember to go out and buy them. Yeah. I'm part of so many I was gonna say I'm part of so many like debut groups and then 2014 and then like I have friends that are coming out with books and so there's like so many coming out in the same month. Sorry, and what were you saying?
Oh, I was gonna change the subject a little bit.
Yeah.
Did you guys see the like photo series that Traci did on Doubts?
No.
It's so cool. Okay, I'm posting a link in the chat and then I'll post the link in the discussion. It is so cool. She took rejections and made them into little doubt pills.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, that's so cute. For the immediate reduction
they're like
of self-worth.
Yeah.
That's so cute.
It's so cool.
A sure cure for optimism and vitality.
I think about this all the time. Every time I get a rejection, I think about Traci's.
Oh my gosh.
That's so cute.
Pure unmodified doubts. Oh my gosh, that's so cute.
That's adorable.
Prepared by Traci Chee. That's great.
And so creative. Like so cool.
And so true.
Yeah.
There's a lady I follow on Twitter that like made her rejection slips into jewelry. She would like shellac them into little beads and draw and like color them different colors and then make bracelets and necklaces and stuff. Yeah. I always thought that
That
was
is
cool.
cool.
Yeah. Wear your rejections proudly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That was a
Then
cool
if you
idea.
ever got famous enough, you could sell jewelry made out of your
Yeah.
own rejections and just redact the name.
Can you imagine if you could like buy like a necklace made out of like J.K. Rowling's rejections?
I would buy the crap out of that.
I totally would. Yeah. Be amazing. Or like, especially if it's specifically like, thank you for sending us Harry Potter, but we don't feel like the right fit for us at this time. Oh man. You can tell I've memorized rejection form letters.
Yeah.
Sorry to say, but
It's not the right fit.
yeah, at this time. Don't forget that part.
But she didn't actually have that many agent rejections.
No, only 13 from publishers.
People
I
always
don't know
told me about J.K. Rowling's rejections when I was querying agents, and I was like, "Don't talk to me about that. You don't even know what you're talking
A
about."
lot of people don't realize that her rejections weren't from agents. Like she got an agent really fast.
Yeah.
And it was just like 13, like publisher. But it's like it's still a crazy stat just to be like Harry Potter of all things, like got rejected many times. But it's like the typical is a lot more.
And it is like it's a fair amount of rejections, like fair amount from editors, because that's almost like that's probably a whole round, maybe 2 rounds for some people.
I watched her documentary, and I think I said she was on sub for almost a year.
Interesting.
So
a lot of people didn't think it was marketable to children. It was like too long and like
a
boarding school they didn't want.
See, that's the type of stuff that I would like to know rather than like, oh, 13 rejections, big freaking deal. Like being on sub for a year, that's a big freaking deal. And then selling something so successfully after that. Like that's what I would have liked to hear. But yeah, when you're querying and you're on your 101 rejection, you're like, oh, 13, don't make me laugh and then cry.
You should watch the it's like an old documentary on her. It was before the 4th or 5th book was coming out, but it's called Harry Potter and Me, and it's on YouTube. And like it's all about J.K. Rowling and her life up to writing Harry Potter and selling it, and they go back to like her childhood home and the coffee shop where she wrote Harry Potter. I've watched it so many times.
I'm gonna have to write that down. Harry Potter and Me.
I just bought
the BBC one.
Time magazine did like a special edition for the 20th anniversary, and I bought it at Costco, and it's really cool. It's like it's an entire like special edition of Time that's all articles about Harry Potter. And like
I think I saw that and wanted to buy it, and I don't know why I didn't.
I saw it at Costco, and I was like, splurge purchase. I'm here for groceries, but I'm buying the
impulse purchase. Yes. Yeah.
I love messing stuff up at Costco, like the book section. like last time I went there, they had like a pile of The Hate U Give, and it was just like one really tall pile because that book is amazing. So obviously they had a lot of it. I like took it over and put it over some of the meaner ideological books. Like, read this one instead, guys.
I would have just left copies all over the store.
You're in the freezer aisle? Here, have a book.
Have some Angie Thomas.
Yeah. Would you like some Hate U Give with that frozen brownie mix? Guess you would.
You know what goes well with 500 microwave burritos, right?
A YA novel about the Black Lives Matter movement.
But of course.
You can cry while you eat your 500 frozen burritos.
Right. Think about your privilege.
Cry into your frozen burritos. Oh dear.
Well, we have strayed off the path of The Reader by Traci Chee.
Into frozen burrito land, apparently. Yes.
Into Costco. And
it's a little bit different.
The Hate U Give is a later book. Yeah.
We're doing that for book club later, right?
Yeah, it's like November, I think.
Okay, good. I'm like, it's one of the very few books I haven't packed either. There's only like 6 of them. because I haven't packed it yet, even though I'm moving in like 3 days. Because I'm like, I could finish this one in like the next day and then read The Hate You Give afterwards.
Yeah, November
Like,
sounds right. I know that the 30th or whatever the last Sunday of July is 1,000 Pieces of You by Claudia Gray. Is that Claudia Gray?
Yeah.
I love that book. I think it's really, really good.
I still haven't bought it yet.
I didn't know anything about it, and I just read the summary recently because I was like, oh, I don't want to read another book because I'm in a huge reading slump. And so I was like, why can't these all just be books I've already read? But I read the description of that one, and it sounds so good.
It's a really cool book. I like it a lot. It's really interesting.
Yeah, it sounds like James Bond-y, like hunting down this person.
But traveling through like alternate realities.
Like dimensions.
Ooh,
yeah.
See, I like that type of stuff. You had me at alternate reality.
Yeah, it's basically a girl. It's kind of almost, it's like science fiction-ish, but very light science fiction, where like it's a girl whose parents are professors, like physics professors, and they've like created this this piece of technology that can allow you to travel into like different dimensions, basically like alternate realities of your life. And you like take the place of that version of you or whatever. And one of her dad is killed. Like her dad is killed, and then one of their like grad assistants runs off with the technology, and so they're like, oh, he killed the dad and stole it. And so her and the other grad assistant take like the prototype versions and go to follow him. They travel through like different dimensions following him to try and like capture him and take him back. It's really cool.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Why?
It has some really cool like dimensions they go to. They're like, I don't know, like some of them are very like vanity ones. You're like, this is just fun. There's like a reality where she's like Russian royalty or something. And you're like, so much fun. So, yeah,
that's amazing. Is it a duology?
I think it's
a
3 books.
Standalone?
It's
3 books?
Okay.
I
haven't read the other 2 yet, but I've heard they're really good. Yeah, they're all out.
Okay.
They're all out.
Who does she go with? Is it a romantic interest? I'm assuming.
There's definitely romance in that book.
Like,
good bit of romance.
Straight romance or queer romance?
Straight romance.
Okay. Everything has to be queer lately. I'm like, this is not acceptable. This is not acceptable. I'm shipping everyone. Like, yeah. I'm reading Labyrinth Lost right now, and I'm like, then she goes into the world. I'm like, no, you must fall in love with Rishi. I forbid you to fall in love with the boy.
What are you thinking?
Hopefully it'll be okay, because I don't think there are any girls really for her to fall in love with, so that you won't be shipping her with
There'll be no
different.
one I'm shipping and then heartbroken over. Okay, good.
Yeah.
I think that's good. I don't know. I don't know if I should be happy about no girls, but yeah.
I can't remember. I feel like maybe there's another girl character or something. It's a very small cast of characters.
Okay, yeah. I mean, that's
it's like
fair.
her and her parents and the 2 grad assistants, basically.
Mm-hmm. That's okay. I can read another queer book on the side.
You can read more than one book, Erin.
Yes, I'll do that. Then I don't have to get all shouty.
I super want to read. Sorry, we're so off topic, guys. I'm so sorry. I'm supposed to be moderating better, but I
just gave you a great
read
synopsis of the next book club book. So
yeah,
it's still on topic.
The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue that just came out, and I want to read it so bad.
Oh my gosh. I went into my local bookstore, and I have so many complaints about this local bookstore, but I'm not going to say them like publicly because it's an indie bookstore and I want to support them, but they drive me up the wall. Like, I went in there and I was like, I'm looking for this book, and it was A Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue, and they're like, oh, that's not out yet. I'm like, no, I know it's out. Like, I know for sure. I've seen people like posting it on their like Facebook and Twitter, like holding the book, and they're like, nope, the computer says it's not out yet. And they're like, oh, it's going to be out only in like hardcover, and then there's no paperback available. And I'm like, well, yeah, it's that's how this works. And then they're like, no, it's not out until like October or something. And I was like, no.
It came out June 27th. I marked it in my calendar.
I know. And well, they've done this to me a couple.
This gift card to get.
Whoa. You're serious about this. Well, they've done this to me a couple times with like different books, and I've just kind of given up. So But yeah, so I was very indignant, and I was like, I'm just going to go to a different bookstore. You have disappointed me for the last time.
We should definitely do it for the next year's book clubs. It's
Yeah. Well, we have an open space for this one if we want to do it for this one.
Yes.
Post-chat discussion.
Yes.
Yeah. All right.
Kelly is in the comments. Kelly couldn't join us because she didn't read the reader.
Hey.
But she said the girls in 1,000 Pieces of You are her sister and another version of herself. So
Okay.
Actually, I have a sister.
there will be no
The other
shipping
version
of
of
that.
herself is weird, but I like sister relationships too. That's cool.
I forgot she had a sister in it. Yeah.
I'm hanging out with another version of me. That's kind of cool.
I feel like I would hate me.
Really?
She
So,
never hangs out with a different version of herself.
If it was like a prettier, skinnier version of me, then I would want to punch myself in the face. But if it's the exact same me, cool.
I feel like we would fight about how to get things done because I like trying out so many different ways to do things that like alternate me would probably be doing something else, and then we just fight over what the best way to do things was.
That's true. Or I feel like you would want all of the same things at the same time. You would like reach for all of the same food and like be fighting over the last piece of cheese, pizza, and like, yeah, it might be bad.
Yeah.
Things can get serious over the last slice of pizza. So.
Yeah.
I killed my doppelganger because
of pizza.
Pretty sure that's how my novel would end.
Yeah. But alternate you would be thinking the same thing. So maybe alternate you would kill you.
How would I know if I was alternate me or not?
Oh gosh, are we the reader or are we the read?
Oh no. I can't handle this.
Bringing it back around.
Very good. Nice tie-in. High five. High five.
Great hosting, Megan. Oh gosh. Well, I suppose we will wrap this up. We've actually been going about an hour, which is a real big deal for book club chats.
Yeah, and I'm actually impressed because out of the three of us, I don't remember anything in the book aside from that I really liked it. And you two, I just been like, yeah, it's about books. So
we like books.
I like books, and I remember liking it, but that's it. I'm gonna reread it.
Yeah, definitely. If you haven't picked it up, even with spoilers, I feel like this would be super fascinating to read.
Yeah.
Book 2 is coming out in a few months. Yeah, like 4 months. So you have plenty of time to really dig deep into it. The Reader by Traci Chee. Next week's live chat. Yeah, it's so good. Did you guys have any final thoughts?
No.
Okay.
Just that I liked it.
Next week we are doing part 2 of our Realities of Publishing chat. We did a chat on it maybe like 2 months ago now. It's been a little while, but we realized while doing that chat that there were so many things to discuss that there was no way we were going to fit it all in an hour or even an hour and a half, which is how long I think that chat was. So we're going to do a part 2, all the realities of publishing. Be there and be sure to subscribe because we have videos every day of the week, most of the time. Yeah, and we'll see you then. Thank you so much for watching. We love you all. Bye.
Bye.